one. I am actually going to go back and watch it because I think it'll be very valuable in its own way. Andy is not he is not a TA guy. He doesn't draw lines on charts. He doesn't do all this. He uses Thor. So that's why he was like, man, I don't do the same shit you do. I'm like, good, get in and show people how you make money just using Thor alone, because I know that's where a lot of people are at. They don't know where to start. And I know my charts and everything can get a little crazy, get a little in depth, but fuck, have we been making money? I don't know who's been following along in the Tuesday Trader reviews, but I've been updating, and if you've been following along, we've been quite fucking profitable. So congrats to you, whoever's been in on that. Fuck it, I'll go ahead and just open up the chart. Why not get started, right? Why not just get to the shit? All right. So a lot going on here. We'll clean it up and then put a lot of it back in. You know what I mean? I'll kind of get rid of some of the shit so we can look at it, start back over. But what everything in here is in the Tuesday Trader review and tells you why we were doing what and when. You remember a couple weeks ago, we were calling for the resistance right here on the long-term EMA, the blue line. We were calling resistance right here at the downtrend. We were calling resistance right here on the RSI. And we said this is a spot to take an entry. And we wanted to look to take profits right at this zone, because I figured once we broke into here and refilled this candle that we may push back out and close profit here right before we entered. And man, we entered this zone and we jumped out of it perfect. That was a 24% trade for anyone that took that. And this, what's up, bro? Oh, I didn't. What's up, SWAT? Good to see you, man. I didn't know someone had a question. So that ended up being 24%. Which, fuck yeah, let's go. Then I don't know if you guys remember, once we saw the higher low form right here, I actually dropped the fib. And right there at that golden line, you can see where I made the golden entry zone and where we bought in. And then said, take profits at the Thor short. Here was the Thor short call up here and the daily. And that trade went 33%. I did call for us to take some profits in here, somewhere around 12% was, and move stop loss up below last low, make this a free trade essentially. And fuck me, it just kept running all the way up to this short to close position. If you took that, you got anywhere from 12 to 33%. Congratulations. Moving on from there, this was a Thor short call, this entry zone right here. And it actually got invalidated. But if you read again on the Tuesday Trader review, I said, I'm leaving this call here and this take profit call here because I thought it was still going to fulfill. I actually did sell some here right about 23.71. So right at the beginning of this zone, I actually did sell some. We've now hit and take profit one. Again, this was an invalidated Thor call, but I thought it might still play out. Sure enough, it did. That would have given a profit of 6.6%. But what I'm actually seeing here is I think we're going to come down to this blue line, which is the long-term EMA. I think we are going to test this downtrend. You see we have a point and a point. As long as we have 2 points, we can make a line. We actually have 3 points on this line, but so this is our downtrend line for right now. And what I think is going to happen is we're going to test somewhere around here on the longer term EMA, come back and probably find rejection on the short term EMA, rejection on the downtrend, and let's see if we actually get a little turn up in the RSI and then find rejection here at neutral. And again, if we then make, we've now made a low, a lower high, a lower low, a lower high, a lower low. If we make a lower high again, I'm still expecting that lower low. Does that make sense? Remember, we've gone through trend identification. And if we have higher lows and higher highs, then an uptrend. If we have lower highs and lower lows, lower high, lower low, we can potentially see a lower high and a lower low. That is my definition of a downtrend, series of lower lows and lower highs. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. We still have this daily short up here by Thor. But you can see this is kind of the path that I see when I'm saying lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. And if we don't get the lower high here, it could even come all the way back up to here. And that's still a lower high. But you see how we have support, 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 support. And then when we drop through this line right here of support, we dropped out of it hard. So I think we're going to pump back up to this line here and find this line as resistance. That also lines up almost exactly with the short-term EMA. So I think we're going to come up, maybe break above it just a little bit, but ultimately find resistance, continue our downtrend. So I'm looking for where I made, where I took this short up here. I'm actually looking to close it and get back in here somewhere between 2060, 2030. And if we lose this, I think we could come all the way down to here. And that would actually put us, if you see this green trend line here, if we zoom out, look, this is support, support. So we could still come all the way back down to this line, right? We could still take another, not already, but take another 15%, 10 to 15% hit and still be in this uptrend. Does everybody see that? How we have this long term, and every time we get down to it, we've been jumping away from it. We got down to it, we jumped away from it. Are we going to come all the way back down to it? I'm not sure. But if we do, we've been jumping away from it. Ultimately, I think we may find support within this range, though. And you can see one of the reasons I left this short that got invalidated. I thought it was still going to play out, because if we go back right here where we have a little price test, we have support, and then it becomes resistance, support, resistance, support, 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 became resistance. So I thought that would be our resistance zone again. The Thor call lined up right in the zone. That's why I took this short, even though it invalidated. And so far, it's playing out. Right now, if I were to close it, 6.4, yeah, 6.4, 6.5%. Does this make sense? Am I losing everybody, anybody, or y'all following so far?
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect, because there's not a lot to talk about with Thor right now. We still have this daily short call. which it's hard to say, in my opinion, it's hard to say what's going to happen. Are we going to find support here on the long-term EMA, the blue line, or we see we got the cross, the white's now above the blue. Are we going to hold support and potentially from there see price move up and come up into this short range, maybe take that retest and then move up? And if you look, that's still, all holding our trend line in bullish activity, right? So this is completely viable, that this is the action we could make. But for us to see that action, in my opinion, we first need to see the break of the downtrend, right? We need to see price break above this fine support. We need to see a higher low, indicating we may then go toward higher highs, right? We need the RSI to break above neutral and find support above neutral. And we want the white EMA to hold above the blue EMA. Now you see, we've been in this downtrend for a while, so this very well could be, support, higher low, higher high. This could be the higher low and going for the higher high. But in the shorter time frame, we could still see this lower high and then a lower low, but it still be a higher low comparatively and still be an uptrend. That's why at this area, that's where I'm looking to close my short. And potentially, if we are breaking the downtrend, if we do see something, say, like this, where we now have the higher low, right? If we see something like that, that looks like, oh, we could be moving up. We could be breaking out of here. If I see the RSI come up and then find support and start to move up, then I think we are still in the uptrend and working toward this daily short. So this is something to understand about time and time frames. If you want to zoom out, if you get rid of that shit. If you zoom out and look, we are in an uptrend, right? But if you zoom in a little closer, you see we are in a momentary downtrend, right? So that's the difference in reading time frames. Like, this is all an uptrend. Well, right here was a downtrend, or right there was a downtrend. Maybe it only lasted a few hours compared to the weekly uptrend, but this is the difference in time frames that you really want to pay attention to. So overall, I mean, Sol's above $20. We were just seeing it at $17, $19 for how long, right? So, man, pretty bullish to have it up at 22. But in my opinion, we still may see a little bit more downside if we don't hold this.
Jake's field.
Hey,
What's up,
hey,
bro?
Mo, so I have a question about the 1 day time frames.
Okay.
So are those active? Like, if it's active, are they supposed to? Are they in or suspected to remain active for multiple days, or is it random
So
in
I'll
comparison to
go
like
back
15
here.
minutes? Which
This is a good one to look at for Bitcoin. I'm going to go to the Bitcoin real chart. So this was a daily short call. Thor made this call on May 15th. Okay. May 15th is when it made the call. It wasn't until the 13th of July, so almost 60 days later, that it triggered. After it triggered, it was August 17th, so almost another 2 months, or I'm sorry, yeah, another 2 months until it hit the take profit 3. Now, the take profit 1 actually came through pretty quick. It triggered on the 13th of July, and take profit 1 was here at the 24th. So about 10 days it took to play out. But it took 2 months for it to even trigger, 60 days for it to even trigger. So, but when you look at the chart like this, is that really that long? No, this is just a little blip in the chart when you're looking at it on a daily time frame. You know what I mean? This is just a small, short little move. But does that make sense that the dailies? Let me in Trader Tuesday review, there is the time frames and how to use them or how to understand them, something like that. So a 15-minute call, you can figure a 15-minute call, if it goes active, could last anywhere from an hour to a couple hours to maybe even a day. If you're doing the 1 hour, you figure that's probably going to last a day to maybe a week, and then if you're moving up to the 4 hour, you're looking at that call could take a couple days to even a couple weeks to play out. And then when you get into the dailies, they can take a couple days, a couple weeks, or even a month to play out. So, but you'll also see the 15-minute signals. Now, this is just given that these are just generalized numbers I'm spitting out right now. But, the 15-minute signal may give you 1.5%. The 1 hour signal may give you closer to 3%. The 4 hour signal may give you closer to 4 or 5%, and the daily around 6 or 8. And the reason is because, are you calling this little move and this little candle right here, or are you calling the next real move? You know what I mean? So in general,
that makes sense, because I had thought originally that like the 1 day actives were supposed to or expected to last like a longer period of time, but there all it is it just takes a longer time for that call to actually play out.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, when you're looking at, because if you're on the daily, you're looking at each of these candles representing 1 day, right? So yeah, every one of these candles. So on this particular day, Bitcoin went from 27,465 to 29,99, right? So that's what happened in 1 day, just that one candle. Now, if we break it down to, say, 1 hour, you're going to see 24 candles inside of just where that one candle was, right? So now, where that one single candle was, we've now got 24 individual candles to make up that one move, right? So that's why if you have 1 hour call, it may be calling from here to here, right? Or something. But if you have the 1 day, it's calling the longer time frame, longer to play out. And generally, the 4 hour and the daily generally are the highest probability, because they're taking a longer time frame and price and more data, and not just short time frame volatility. So that's one of the big reasons on the Trader Tuesday, as well as the BTC challenge, which tomorrow, Wednesday, I will be putting up. It probably won't be till late. Actually, fuck it. I'm gonna have to do it tonight because I'm not gonna have service tomorrow. I'll be updating the Wednesday chart for the Thordinals. But that's why we focus on the 4 hour and we focus on the daily calls in Trader Tuesday, because those are the ones that have the highest probability of playing out, and they have the highest risk to reward ratio, the higher percentage gains in trades, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Annie, good to see you join again. I hope your fucking contract is looking beautiful. My contract, last I looked at it, was somewhere up around 8% right now, which is pretty fucking good. Since we've been pumping, Thor has been taking profits, and yeah, the contract is performing exactly how it
Yeah,
should, which is pretty
I
cool.
saw it buying some earlier today twice.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Which was it buying here and here? You see what I'm saying? We had these candles spike down. May have been buying and buying in looking to make the pump up to here, right? Because that would be okay. That's a perfect example. That would be a potential 15-minute Thor call. Say, oh, we're going to pump from here up to here, right? Like this call could be the 15-minute call, where this could be the 4 hour call. This would be like a 15-minute call. Like, oh, yeah, does that mean we're going up now because it made a long call? No. It's just saying if we hit this price, there's a high probability we retest this price before we then go down, or before we then keep going the fuck up. We don't know. All Thor knows is probability. High probability, if we hit this point, we are going to hit this point before we go substantially higher. And it played out. If we hit this point, there's a high probability we're going to retest down to here before we either keep going down or find support and then go up, right? That's how Thor works. So high probability that as this price was coming down, there was a high probability that if we hit this 4 hour range, we were going to retest here before we either went lower or kept going higher. And what did we do? We ended up coming down lower. And Thor said, hey, there's a high probability if we hit this range, we're going to pump back up and test this EMA again. And what did we do? Pumped up, test the EMA, right? So that's exactly why you see I have this little up here, because I think we may find support. And you see we had price action here on this side, right? We had some price action. We had this big candle, this big jump. So it wouldn't surprise me if we test here in this price action and then make that jump and refill this and test price action. And from here, this is where we decide, okay, do we now have the lower low, or do we move up? I'm sorry, do we have the lower high, or do we potentially move up to a higher high? Or if we get the lower high, what now if now we have a higher low, right? What if then all this shifts up to right here, right? If we break and then somewhere find a higher low, that could be an indication we may see what? A higher high. But until we have either a higher high, or we get that higher low, this is a lower low. If we get that higher low, Now we're looking for a potential reverse and potentially filling this. But for now, I'm seeing we're below neutral. We're below the EMA. We're below our trend line. All that to me says we could still see some downside until we either break our downtrend, find support, remember the break, and retest. So that would be your break. And then we'd see a retest, and a retest would be what? The higher low. We'd want to see the EMA break and find support. But until we do, since we're below neutral, we're below the EMA, we're below the downtrend, we're making continuous lower highs, we're making continuous lower lows. Nothing to me yet says, hey, we're going up to hit this daily short. And honestly, Thor doesn't have any long calls. Why doesn't Thor have any long calls then? In my opinion, it's not seeing the data that it wants to see to say, okay, here's the entry point. This looks like it could be the bottom. Now, in my own TA, I'm looking at this zone that became support and resistance so many times. It's also our support here. That to me looks like a great place to take profit and then reassess what's going on. And that's 14% profit. I'm fucking happy with that. Right? Anybody got any questions? Please. This is open floor. Jump in, ask questions. I want it to all make sense. I don't want it to look like a bunch of lines and you say, what in the fuck is going on? Right now, to make it simple, Thor has a daily short call between 25, like 25.45 and 24.98, somewhere in there, and a take profit of 22.57. To make it simple, if we pump up to this zone, you can expect a retest to come down to here. But Thor always works in its highest probability, which is why I had a phone call with Andy yesterday, and these numbers sound ridiculous, but across the board, on all assets, on all time frames, Thor hit 82 fucking percent. 82% of the calls that triggered entry hit take profit one. That's all across the board on all assets. That is fucking unreal.
Yeah, that's insane.
Dude, it's insane. It's insane. So you don't need to learn how to draw these lines. You don't need to learn how to identify the support and resistance and everything if you don't want to. You don't have to do any of that. That's the purpose of Thor. Like you just profitable trading is proper risk management and finding yourself on the right side of probability. Meaning, if you manage your risk correctly, Thor puts you 82% on the right side of probability. If you had your risk management properly done, and there's a risk management tool right there on the Thor calls, you'd be up pretty fucking good. Now, I started to trade and learn to identify this shit and stared at charts until they burned into my fucking skull and recognize patterns before I knew Andy, before I knew about Cyberfrogs. When I met Andy, I bought a Cyberfrog just because Andy was fucking awesome, and I'm like, this dude's cool as fuck. How could I not like just support him in whatever he's doing? Right? He's cool as fuck. And then I learned more about Thor, and after talking with Andy and the rest of the Frogs team, well, here I am with the Frogs team because I see how powerful Thor is, even though I knew how to do this without Thor, right? Um, to me, understanding how these calls could work and how they play out and where they're made and why. Like, for instance, as soon as I saw we were making the higher low here, and then we came back into this call, this entry zone with a lower high. We made a lower high. We made a lower low. We now hit this invalid entry zone with, again, a lower high. I'm betting we're going for the lower low. And if you look back in the Tuesday Trader Review, you'll see I said I'm leaving this invalidated call here because I think it's going to play out, and here's why. And it did. Now, you don't have to do that. You could just say, oh, Thor got rid of it. I'm getting rid of it. I'm waiting until it gets the next call because when it makes a call, it was 82 fucking percent right. So I'm just going to go with that. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We actually highly, highly fucking encourage that. That is exactly what Thor is meant for, right? That's exactly what Thor is for you to manage your risk, and Thor put you on the right side of probability and fill your account, right? What we're doing here on Tuesday Trader Review, when all we can say is, well, Thor has a daily short. Sure, we could go through some other charts and everything, but I mean, you pretty much get it if you see the call. Let me go ahead and pull Thor up. Give me just a second. Okay, so this is Thor Pro that I'm using. So if you don't have Thor Pro, it may look a little different. I don't want to talk out my ass, but I thought we said we may offer Thor Pro to everyone to try for a week or something. Don't hold me to that. Not sure if that actually came to be or if something we were just talking about. But you get to see it here on Frogs Fuck, right? So you can see, okay, we do have a 1 hour short. So, and that's actually a pretty significant percentage for a 1 hour short, 3 to 4%. But you see again, 3 to 4%, then where's the daily? 10 to 16%, right? The longer time frame is going to have usually a bigger profit, a longer range, longer time frame, longer range. And it also takes longer time to play out. So keep that in mind. You know, this 1 hour short could trigger and fill within the next hour or a few days to a week. Where the daily, if it triggers, you can expect it to take a couple days, couple weeks, or even up to a month or more, right? But let's look at Bitcoin just to see. Okay. So 15-minute long, 1%. 4 hour long, 4.3%. 1 day long, daily long, oh, it's actually the same call. So I like these too. When you get a 4 hour and a daily to line up with the same entry points and the same take profit point, that's a pretty significant call to me. Thor has enough data to recognize it on the shorter time frame and enough data to recognize it on the longer time frame. So Thor is seeing this. This is seeing this as an entry and a retest point on two different time frames, which to me, if it's 82% on most of its calls and it's double stacking the call, that to me is bullish. All right, I gotta let my cat in before she claws the fucking window out. Anybody got questions on how to look at Thor or how to look at the risk management tool? or anything. I know we got right into the charts, and I'm going to get back to them, but I know not everybody. I know the charts can kind of confuse some people, and that's the last fucking thing I want to ever do is make trading seem like it's harder than it is, because Thor makes it so simple without understanding all the charts and all that shit. All you need to understand with Thor is risk management, entry, take profit.
The indicators you use, I'm pretty sure I asked this before. The blue and white line indicators, the EMA, I think mode rugged again.
Did I rug? Can you guys hear me?
Now we can hear you again.
Okay, I'm bringing back up the chart. I lost you for a second, so maybe I rugged, maybe you rugged. I heard you asking about the indicators we were looking at and the EMAs.
Yeah, so like whenever I use or try to select an EMA or indicator, I mean, the triple, double, and then the regular estimated moving average category will show. I used to just like select all three because I wasn't sure like which would be the best to go off of, but I
So you see, I have the lowest time frame. You'll see this is well, I'll change the color so you can see a little better yellow. There you go. So I have the shortest time frame turned off because I'm not trying to react to it so quick and so immediate. I want to see more of basically the 50 and the 200. So I have, if you just go to, and this is a free indicator you can use just by going up here to indicators, and you type in EMA when you see 2050, with longer as area, which I have turned off. You can make, I don't know, you can turn it into a fill if you want. But I turn the shortest time frame off, and then I have the kind of middle as my short time frame and the longer as my long time frame. I don't know if that helped answer your question, but go
no,
ahead.
yeah, it definitely did because I think last time I asked about it, I kind of missed the window that he just showed.
Yep. So after, so this just for take it back for anybody. What I do here on TradingView, you guys can do for free. With the free version of TradingView, you can add 3 indicators. I don't use more than that. Everything I do on here, I make sure you guys can do for free too. Just by getting TradingView, you can literally set your charts up and be drawing out exactly what I'm drawing. Looking at exactly what I'm doing, so you have your own charts and everything to do it. That being said, if you go up here to indicators, you can see there's, that's in my favorites. But if you, come on, you can search. So you would type in EMA, and then you see this pops up. So that's the one I added, right? Now that you have them added, this is where all your indicators will be in this little drop down menu. Right? So you can see here's the EMA 2050 that I had added. You can turn it on and off with this little eye icon, right? You see the blue and white line disappear. I turn it off, turn it back on. Go to settings. This is how you change what you want inside. And you can see all I did was I removed the shortest time frame. I removed the fill, and you can make these whatever color you want. right? You can make them whatever color you want, but to me, just the colors that I already have in my chart, the blue and white, they stand out, but they also fade back if I need them to in the way I see the chart. Just for my, I don't know, the way my fucking mind thought when I set it up. The blue, I think of the blue is water, right? If you're floating on top of the water, you're doing good. When you're underwater, that ain't good. Just a little simple fucking mind reference. Am I underwater or am I above water? Okay, good. I'm above water. I'm starting to go underwater. That's not good. I better pay attention. I'm starting to go underwater. Okay, now we're under. That's not good. Oh, we're starting to bob back up. Okay, are we going to stay up above? We'll find out. You know? So that's just kind of how I think about it a little bit, the blue EMA being water. Probably dull this some since we don't need it to block it. But I do kind of want some record of, the calls that, well, they're all printed in the Trader Tuesday, but it's nice to see on the chart the calls that we've made, what's played out when, you know what I mean? So this trade we were looking at, wow, 0.7%. This trade we were initially looking at a 3% risk to a 30% gain, which actually I had it more at like 12. And then you can see we just kept finding support. But then we moved this up at one point. If you go back in the Trader Tuesday review, we moved it up to above, just below this low when we made it. So even if we had got stopped out, we would have got stopped out at positive 3.5% on that trade. So we were initially risking 3.3%, looking for about 12%. Once we made this, we moved it up to where our trade, no matter what, we would have got 3.5% plus. And we ended up hitting, and I said, take some profit here while we're at that 12% range. And then as long as we kept making what? Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Keep riding it out. And then take profit here in the short. And if you rode that up, and sure, is that the absolute peak? No, but if you're calling the peak, if you're getting in and out within 2-3% of the fucking top, that's killer. Like that's fucking killer. I don't know. Maybe other people have other expectations, but in my mind, if a pump can go from if a pump makes 41% and you're calling the top and the bottom within 2 to 3%, and you're getting, over 35% out of that move, that is a fucking stellar call. So 41% was the total possible. And our entry point and our take profit, we got 33 out of it. I am ecstatic with that call. Like, if you're looking to say, oh, well, I wanted to get those extra little candle or get that extra teeny little bit right there, you are looking to become a true master level trader. Like master level. Thor is usually one of the only ones that can call candles that fucking, well, we did call that one. God damn. I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying you can't always expect to get the very top or the very bottom. And what you want to do is get the significant chunk in between, right? So, yeah, I didn't get in right here. I got in right here at the bottom of this call. Once I had my indicator showing, hey, we're falling below neutral. Hey, we've made a lower high. Hey, we're bouncing off of our downtrend line. That's when I decided to get in. And if you look from top of the candle to here, that was 3%. Okay, so I missed 3%, but I've made the 7. And I actually think there's another 7 stacked on top of it. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with getting the indication that we're going to go down and getting the larger chunk. Getting a chunk of profit and then waiting to see indication of, are we breaking down and maybe test this? Or do we make the higher low and maybe go up? I'm good with taking the big chunk and then waiting to see what my next indication of direction could be. If you have patience, I've said this before, and this in a way sounds cocky. And I beat myself up with this because I believe this. Making money is easy if you follow the rules. That can sound cocky, and it doesn't always work. But if you follow the rules, did we break trend? Yeah, we started to break trend. Did we make a lower high? Did we make a lower low? Okay, enter on the lower high and look for what? The lower low. Are we below our trend line? Yeah. Did we break our upward trend? Yeah. Now, are we below the white? And are we below, right? So you can even look on the next. If we make another lower high, you could potentially look to get in to look for what? The next lower low. And you set stop loss where? Just above the last high. When you follow the rules, it's easy to make money.
Mo,
The
you make it
problem
look easy, dude.
Dude, the problem is having the discipline and waiting for it to play out and to follow the rules. That is the hard part. The hard part is having the discipline. And I am fucking not a very disciplined motherfucker. Like well, it's weird. Some things I am super fucking disciplined and other things I'm not. But my point is that's where you don't let emotion come in. You plan your trade and trade your plan. Right? I mean, you could say, "Oh, what?" But it just threw a big candle, or "Oh, this just came on. Just heard this on Twitter." Who gives a fuck? What? Trade your plan, right? And if you follow the rules and set your plan according to rules you make, you will find yourself managing your risk and find yourself on the proper side of probability and be a profitable trader. It's really, believe me, I'm not saying it's easy. It's easy if you follow the rules. It's not easy to always follow the rules. It's not easy to always be disciplined. Right? That's why Auto Thor is amazing, because it doesn't give a fuck. It's buying, it's selling constantly based on data and data alone. And 82% across the board in all time frames and all assets last month. Those are numbers that are unbelievable. Those are numbers that just don't seem real. And why we're saying, fuck it, don't believe us. Try tap. And then people have no, I mean, Believe it or not, you just witnessed it. There you go. What you do with it's up to you. But us as frogs, we get it before everyone else. We have access to it all, while others are going to be paying subscriptions.
Hey, Mode. Quick question.
Fire.
Hey, it's Cap. I wanted to ask, speaking of patience, I wanted to ask a question just because I haven't done enough trades. So I'm on, I guess it's more of a patience and a Thor question. So I entered 2 longs, and the one had came down, bounced, and hit the zone to become active, and then it went up. But I set it, and it was out of the zone, but I set the parameters anyway, in case it retested and came down and hit that zone. Now it ended up doing that today during the day. So I guess my question is, now it went down. Now that it's retested, it kind of went below the entry, but it didn't invalidate it or anything.
Which asset?
I took the 4-hour Matic.
Okay, so I'm going to go to Matic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to. I'm just gonna go check all this out. So the entry was 0.52 to 0.51.
Yeah, and I entered it.
Go ahead.
I said I entered at 0.52.
Okay. So you did get in where it called. So 0.52, 0.51. Oh, so okay. So here's where you're saying it was first, and this is where it came back into. Where was now? Let's go look at. Oh,
Right. So I put and take
profit like, 1.55.
That's where my take profit's at, and then I set a stop loss at 0.5033.
Okay, so
Hey guys, I gotta bounce, but take care and have a great night. Thank you again, Mode. I'm gonna watch the rest of the stream once it's uploaded.
appreciate you always joining, man. You and your girl have a good night, dude.
Yo, thanks, man. I
Bye.
appreciate it. Everyone, take care.
Bye.
Okay, so so was this the first time that this call was already active? You're saying?
Yeah, when I saw the call and it had just left the zone, but I was
Okay,
like, maybe it'll retest.
so right here,
in the
gotcha.
What's that?
I got you. So right here it became active, and then you got in right here.
Right.
Gotcha.
But now it's going low. So I'm just saying, like, the patience is that a usual thing where it'll drop below like the target rate? Just like it'll sometimes, like you were talking about, like you might miss that 3% on the top end, but like so you can, as long as it doesn't go down and hit my stop loss, it's fine. It's still in the range, right?
Right. And if you look overall, we are still making, we've got a low, high, a higher low, a higher high, a higher low. What do we potentially maybe see? A higher high. But where's this to me? You can see I drew it before. There's this resistance line right here, right?
Yeah.
So to me, Thor is saying if we hit this zone, which we did, there is a high probability that we're going to at least test this, whether we break out of it or whether we test it and then come back down, we don't know. But Thor was saying if we hit here, high probability we go up. Honestly, not financial advice. Do your own research. This is a Thor call. Let me dull this a little bit. If you look, we've got two candles that have spiked the low. This spiked the low and held. Now we've spiked the low again. And as of this moment, we have still another minute and 50 seconds still this candle prints for us at 8 p.m. EST. That can often be signal of a bottom. I forget what this little pattern is called when you get these two candles. But when you have a wick down and a red candle, and you have a wick down and a green candle, especially on a support area, and if you look, the shorter term RSI has kind of done a double bottom. This to me looks like a valid call. Like that, not financial advice. Do your own research. I'm not telling anyone go take this call right now, right? What I am saying is this is a Thor call that I see why it made this call, right? I see why it made this call. And to me, it looks pretty fucking good to go. So in my own TA, what I would have done is I would set my stop loss just below last low, which our last low is here, right? So I would have set it there, and if it starts moving up, I would move my stop loss just below this last low. And then once price starts going, I might move my stop loss up to entry. Or just, let it ride. But you can use the risk management tool. So the risk management tool will tell you buy X amount of Matic at this price.
Yeah, I
and
actually
set your stop loss at Y. Knowing take profit is
stop loss.
Say again.
Sorry, man. I said I did use the risk management tool to get my stop loss on that.
And what was your stop loss price? If you don't mind me asking.
No, it's fine. My stop loss is at 0.5033.
0.5033. So right here, pretty much at the last low. Right? So that's right there. Yeah, it's pretty much saying if we get to this point, yeah. So like I said, my own TA, I probably would have put it at like 4997 or something. But yeah, man, I'm not telling you to go against Thor. Dude, Thor, you did the right thing. Use the risk management tool, and if you look, we'll go ahead and lay out what your trade looks like. So you said you entered right about 52, right?
Yeah, it was 52. Yeah, almost exactly 52.
So your stop loss is right there, and your take profit one is right there. So you have a 2.31 reward to risk versus reward, meaning you are stand to make 2.37 times to one. If that makes sense. Instead of you can think of it as you lose one or you gain 2.37. That's pretty fucking good to me. If it was here, this is a coin toss. This is a 50-50, right? You stand to lose one or make one. Lose one or make one. Well, that's, a 50-50 coin toss. What's your risk management and how you playing a 50-50 coin toss? You're not playing a 50-50 coin toss. Instead, you've got 2.3 heads versus one tails in your coin toss. Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah.
So again, not financial advice. Do your own research, but I see where this call, why this call was made, and where the entry and where the take profit is makes total sense in my own TA. You're buying on a support that was established here, and you're taking profit at a potential resistance here. And same thing, we'll probably see the white line come down just a bit and come up. And we'll probably see the blue line like that, because it reacts slower. Oh, why didn't that change? Something like that. So we may see that cross to where we're back above water. Or are we going to meet resistance here and ultimately maybe continue down? Right? We could hit right here, price hit here, and then come back down. We don't know. But what we do know, are we still making higher highs and higher lows? Right? That's what we got to look at. Our trends. How do we identify trends? Making higher highs, making higher lows. Now we can add in a shorter term downtrend, right? By connect. How the fuck did it go there? By connecting the high and the high. We have 2 points, we have a line. Let me just clean this up a little bit. Got random fucking dots and shit. Okay, so now that we have the shorter term, we can actually even add one here. Right? We have a point. We have a point. And look at that. Interesting enough, right on that point is where we get the cross as well. So what is it we want to see for a long call here? We want to see a low. We want to see a higher low, right? We want to see it break, probably come up, probably retest, still make a higher low, and then look for higher highs right here on what was, I mean, you can look, support, 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 resistance, support, support. Looking for, I mean, you can see all the price action right in that area. You know, look right here in this area, how many times prices come through here, right? So many times prices come through here, resisted it, right? So Thor's saying, hey, we've gone in this zone how many times? Good chance that we're going to make a move up. And this is still respecting the longer term downtrend because we don't know if we're going to break that yet. Damn, these calls were fucking fire too. I don't even remember when I made them, but you know, so made the entry here, you can see, and stop loss below the last low. I gave it a little breathing room from that one. Take profit up here near resistance level. That was 30%. So here, made the short, gave it a little breathing room. I doubt I gave it. Oh, I went beyond that candle, and then I moved it up to here on short. But that was little move. Nice 10%. But yeah, this door call looks good to me. And that's a nice 7.5% gain for you. So you're basically risking 3% to gain 7.5% at a ratio of 2.36. Pretty good trade.
Thanks,
We
man.
could
I
even
appreciate you taking the time.
for sure, man.
And
That's what I'm here for. Anybody
gotta
else, if you got questions,
have a
please
good
don't
night.
hesitate.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, what's up, guys? What's up, Mode? All right. So I actually had a question on Drift on the platform. I'm actually gonna start doing my manual trading, but I understand the take profits, the stop loss, but when I actually go on there, I'm not 100% sure how to interpret it in the actual platform, like how to set up my stop loss on the platform, and if I could actually like set up to automatically take profit, so I don't have to be looking at it.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me pull up Drift here. Okay. Why are you not showing me a chart or anything? Okay, so if you're looking at Drift here, and it's the same thing, you can go up here 1 hour, so we're going to change it to 4 hour just because we've been looking at the 4 hour chart. So now you can see, where we drew the high, the M, made the, the low. There was the low, lower high, lower low. We drew our trend line here. So what you want to do is if you were looking to, say, make a short off of what may be the next, let's say we think the lower high is going to be here at 22.94, right? What you would do is go to short. You would put in the limit price. The limit price USD, what do we say? 20. What did we say? 22.94. So I put 22.94. That's the price of it. The size, how many Solana? So it's not letting me enter it because I'm not actually connected. So I could either put in I want to do $50, or I could do, okay, that's 2 Solana. So I want to sell 2 Solana at 22.94. And then right here would be I'm pretty sure it's right here is a button that says add TP, or take profit, add stop loss. If my wallet was connected, it would probably say that. Give me 1 second. Let me connect the wallet.
Can I ask,
And
related to this while you do that? On
for
Thor,
sure.
I just logged into Thor and I'm looking. I see something called invalid when I look at what is that?
So like if you were watching as we were talking about the last Solana chart, what is this thing? There was a 1 hour short, or I'm sorry, a 4 hour short that was invalidated. Basically, what that means is we hit the entry zone for it, but now Thor got some new data to where it doesn't think that trade is going to fill out, or that trade has got to a probability threshold where it's basically no longer calling that as an active call. So, sometimes they do fill out still. as we looked at on the Solana chart earlier. Give me 1 second. Let me pull the Solana chart back up, and I'll show you what I mean. And then I'll get right back to your question on drift balls. So here on Sol, this was a 4-hour short call made, right? So it hit the zone and became active, but I guess because the way we pumped out of it, maybe found support and then pumped out of it again, Thor thought, hey, maybe we aren't going to go back down here before we tap into here. So it invalidated it, basically saying you can get out at break even because it may still continue to pump up. But in my own TA, I thought it was going to fill out, and it actually did already hit the take profit. So, but when it says invalidated, that means it is a call that did trigger, but Thor, because, okay, so it triggered right here. This is what probably happened. We hit right here and dipped, and we came so close to hitting the take profit, but not quite, and then pumped back up through it. Thor probably said, okay, maybe we were wrong. We were off by, we were off on our call by 1.6%. So it's saying, well, since we're pumping again, maybe we're not going to hit this point before we hit maybe here. Does that help make sense?
Yeah, I got that. And if I'm looking at signal and Thor in long short, underneath where it says invalid and there was a number in front of it, does that mean if it hits that number, then it becomes invalidated, correct?
Correct.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Of course. All right, let me get back to drift here now. Okay, so, well, I could even go to, let's go to Matic. No, I'm going to go to spot, not perpetuals. Anyway, yeah, you would be doing this on spot. You know, it is trade spot. Okay, so we're going to look up Matic, just because there is a Matic call. Get out of here. If we can. Oh, maybe we can. Okay, just because it's Solana. All right. So again, let's say you were making that short. What do we say? Just round price. We're going to say 69. Easy number to remember, right? 22.69. That's our new number. So you're going to go to limit. You're going to put in 22.69, right? And you're going to say the amount of US. What the fuck is it? I guess this should be showing. This fucking annoying me. Okay. Just because it will show the perpetual. Or show the button there. So our limit, 22.69. Sorry, that was a little bit of a clusterfuck. So I could say I want to do $50, right? 22.69. I want to open up a short 22.69, $50, right? Add profit, add stop loss. So take profit. I could put in the USDC price, or do I just want to take profit at 10%? We don't really do this because this is just like saying, oh, I hope it hits 10% and hope it takes profit. No, that's not what Thor does. Thor doesn't just say, oh, let's hope we hit 5. Oh, let's hope we hit 10. You put in the take profit price. So let's say my take profit price, I think it's going to come right back down here to this range. 22 or $20. We're just going to do $20.69 because fuck it, right? $20.69. That's our take profit price. Now our stop loss price. So if it gets up to 22.69, let's say, well, I don't want it to get above this big red candle. 23.14. Stop loss. 23.14. Then you would go ahead and execute your order. You've added your stop loss. You've added your take profit. And then you would execute your order. Does that help?
Yeah, that was perfect. Perfect.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, I don't personally, I do have a small amount in here. As you can see, I have about $100 in here. I don't trade on drift like excessively or a whole lot. So, maybe just make sure you really, once you click it, just make sure you review everything and make sure everything's set proper. Always check it twice. Put it that way. I always say measure twice, cut once. It's the same thing. Make sure you check everything. I'm not saying I'm perfect with this. So just make sure you're aware of what you're doing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was looking at, but there's no movement because I just got like some SOL into my wallet ready to trade, but there's like no movement on SOL.
Right, and we've looked at the charts and we've looked at Thor, and Thor really isn't calling anything right now. For Solana right now. We've got the 1 hour short. Let me open that back up. Let me open Thor back up. Give me just a second. And I'll go ahead and open regular Thor this time instead of the Thor Pro.
On that Drift platform, is that actually multi-chain? Can you connect other wallets to there?
On Drift, yeah, it looks like you can connect to your MetaMask. I have not tried, so I've only connected Phantom, so you'd have to. Fuck! Did I just rug?
No, I hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, no shit. My Discord's spinning like, and it's telling me it's updating. Usually it rugs me when it does that. Every fucking time I'm on stream, it's like, hey, let's update your shit. Okay, so you can see if we go to Solana, right, and we drop down time frames, you see the asterisks. This is regular Thor instead of Thor Pro. This is what you have access to with just one frog and then a couple opening up time frames and opening up more assets. But Solana, we do the time frame drop down menu. We can see there is a 1 hour call and there is a daily call, right? So our 1 hour call is a short. We see our entry zone. We see our take profit, and just like you were asking about, Annie, the invalid, basically, yeah, it's letting you know if we drop down to 21.7, that's probably going in. It's going to invalidate that call. Same thing if we go here to the daily. We see our entry zone. You know, Thor even draws it out on the chart here. There's our entry zone and our take profit points. And you'll see I pretty much do the same. So I draw my entry zone. I draw my box just like Thor does. And then I like to draw a box for my take profit zone. It just helps me visually see things better. Like this gray box, this is my, if this trade goes active, this is the box I want it to stay in. And when it gets here, that's my take profit point. That's how I kind of view it. And I view if it's getting above this, you know, then I need to be cautious of my trade. But that's the way I like to lay it out. So just like Thor had, there's the daily short, there's the take profit point. Now it had the 1 hour short. Let me go see what the parameters were on that real quick, and we'll draw it out. I don't leave the 1 hour calls on the Trader Tuesday just because they're a little more volatile, so we keep it to the 4 hour and daily. But 23.46, 23.39. 23.46 and 30. So just gonna run this. We're gonna say 43. And 39. So you can see that is the entry for the 1 hour short. Small zone of entry. And what was my take profit on that? TP1 is at 22.75. So I'll find that. I'll move this to 22.75. So that's the difference between the zone of entry for a 1 hour and take profit and the zone of entry for a daily call and take profit. You see, this is kind of in between because this was a 4 hour. See how big the zone of entry is and then how big the profit is? Because you give it time to play out and more probability because you're not as volatile in the zone. So this, to me, what is this 1 hour short saying to me? Thor was saying that if we pump from here and go test this resistance, we're going to either drop back down through here or we're going to drop through here and it maybe find the higher low or continue to just drop down. But what it's saying is if we hit this point, there's a high probability that we're going to retest that point. So if we get there, that would make this now green, in my opinion, because that would make a break and a retest with a potential higher low. Thor's not calling maybe the whole move. It's calling, or that would be retesting probably right where the blue line is, right? That would probably be somewhere right where the blue line is. Thor's just calling the chunk of the move for that 1 hour short. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so if I'm looking at that chart in that 4 hour short where it says I should have gotten in at 23. So right now that the price is at 22.16, that short already passed. Like I shouldn't be going into shorting anymore, right?
A 4 hour short on Sol.
Right. Yeah, that's the one that we had. Well, actually, it was the 1 hour. My bad. 1 hour. So on the hour,
I don't see any that are active for
right.
1 hour for Sol.
I got it. It would be well. It shows. Yeah, it does show active. Is it show active? So, it says waiting. When it shows active, it would say active, right? It says waiting.
Yes, waiting means it hasn't hit yet. Waiting means it's waiting to hit this zone. If it hits this zone right here, it's waiting to hit this zone. And if it does hit this zone, then it will become active.
Oh, okay. So it would make okay. I think I understand it now. So it would make sense right now for me to create a short with my Sol that I would sell it at 20 at the entry price, and then I would take profits when it hits the lower prices.
Correct.
Perfect. Thank you.
Correct. So if you wanted to try to take advantage of this minor move, you would sell some Sol here in this Thor range, entry range, and you would buy your Sol back here at the take profit price. Just like you would sell some of your Sol here and then buy that Solana back down here at the lower price at the take profit.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, 'cause I'm actually 100% Sol right now, so I'm looking to change that.
Gotcha. Dude, it's Sol is in a questionable point right now. We'll see what happens, whether we're gonna continue this downtrend. I really do think that we're probably gonna come down here to this range. You see how quickly we blasted out of here, right? How quickly we blasted out of here. If you look, we blasted through this zone. And where are we in right now? Perfectly, right? We're tapping the bottom, tapping the top, tapping the bottom. We're probably going to tap the top. And then are we going to fall through the bottom? But you see, we refilled that zone, and I drew that zone simply because look how quickly we blasted through here, right? Now, if we keep that in mind, what do we see down below that? We see the same thing, right? So we see another zone, bam, up to this candle here, right? And where does that put us? Puts us right on our trend line. Makes it, in my opinion, look almost perfect for price to go up, find resistance, come down here somewhere, make the higher low, break, retest, bounced around in this zone for a while, come up, fill this zone. And how often do we see that pattern? We go over this pattern every single week, and it's the exact reverse. You see right here, you see the M, move 1, move 2, and then this would be move 3. And then you see the W, move 1, move 2, move 3. And then what would happen next? Probably the M. Move 1, move 2. See what I'm saying? We follow patterns over and over and over again. Now, the patterns don't always line up, but these patterns are our indicators of, hey, we made now a lower high and a lower low. If we make another lower high, I'm looking at a lower low. Catch the big move, right? Same thing right here going down. Hey, we came down here. We made the lower high. I'm getting in short to try to get the next lower low. Now, if we still make a lower high, we could be looking at a lower low, right? But I think we are going to refill this. We have refilled this zone. Now, it's up to market makers to decide whether they've made enough money in this zone and they want to leave, or they decide, hey, we want to tap back into this zone. And look, that is also why I put this line right here, right? Support, 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 support. We lost support. Resistance, 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 resistance. Is it now going to become our support? In my mind, everything's lining up to say, fuck yeah. So, between I mean, not financial advice, do your own research, but I told you I entered here at 2371. Entered a short, well, sold some of my Solana. I have my Solana buyback, some of it at 2060, and then I'm looking to buy more back somewhere around 2030, hopefully. Basically, the top and bottom of this range, or close to, right? Does that make sense?
Lord, I have a couple of questions.
Fire away.
So the first question is, you mentioned, sorry, my brain just froze. Oh, you mentioned Thor Pro. What is the difference between Thor Pro and just regular Thor that we're using?
Okay. I'll go sign into Thor Pro real quick, and I will show you because it is pretty fucking awesome. Give me 1 second to sign in, and then I'll bring up the screen. And you'll log in exactly the same way when you have enough frogs for Thor Pro and everything.
Can I ask how many is that?
SWAT, someone smarter than me. How many is it to get that now? We'll find out.
For
For
the
Thor Pro.
purple, that is at Gigawell and higher. So that'd be 50, I believe.
50 Frogos.
Yeah. And then unless you win a trial for it, which may be happening soon. We have our 2-year anniversary coming up, so maybe look forward to that.
Hell yeah. So the difference with Thor Pro, I have more options. I have more options than just picking the asset and the time frame. Do I want to look at just longs? Well, then I can turn off shorts. I'm not interested in 15-minute calls. I can turn that off. I'm really not interested in 1 hour call. Well, maybe I'm interested in 1 hour calls, but only if they give me 5% or more. So, I'm not a fan of trading DOT. I hate Doge. And I don't like Litecoin. Okay, I can get rid of them. I'm not a fan of XRP or SHIB either. And I'm just talking. I have nothing against any of these. I'm just this is hypothetical. So now I have reduced my chart, and I can say, okay, here's all the 4 hour, the 1 hour, 4 hour, or daily long calls that will give me at least 5%. Here's all of them that I can take. And wow, we just talked about this call. Here's one that is active. And if we look, our entry price is 522 to 5195. And if we come down here to Matic, we are at 5185. So this says, this to me, this is an active call, and we're still in entry zone. So if you were looking to take a long call, a long Thor call, on the 1 hour, 4 hour, or daily with a minimum of 5% profit, here's an active call you can take right now. And I'll leave this up for a second if you guys want to use this. Again, this is not, not financial advice. Do your own research. But here is a Thor call that is active and you can get in right now. And go ahead.
That's actually really cool. I hadn't seen the minimum that you could switch to minimum. I have access to Thor Pro with 24 frogs, so you actually need 24 whale to have access to it.
Okay, sweet. I wasn't sure if it was Giga Whale or Whale. So perfect. Yeah, 24 frogs. And if you got a Thor hammer, it's worth fucking 20 frogs itself, which is fucking wild. But yeah, so there you go, dude. Now you know how to use Thor Pro even better to your advantage. And you can scan through and look for these active calls. Now, now that I want to show you something, though, I'm going to go back to this Matic chart. So, did everybody is everybody okay if I change this screen, or is anybody still looking at these numbers?
Yeah,
I don't want to.
Quick question: was actually you said you don't like using drift too much. What's an actual platform that you like to use for trading?
So I'll use Coinbase just because I'm in the U.S. Being where I am, I'm restricted in what I can use, but I have some of my money in exchanges where I can spot buy Bitcoin and other assets besides just trade on Drift and basically trade Solana or trade perpetuals. I have money on other exchanges so I can spot trade other assets. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so going once, going twice. You're not really going anywhere because we're going to look at it on the fucking chart. So, whatever. Matic. Okay, so the fact that the price is actually slightly lower, as you can see. I'm just going to make a hypothetical right now. I want you guys to understand this. So this is an active call that is still inside the active range. Okay. Now, let's say price has come up to here, right? Let's just say it's up to right there. And this is when you see it. And you say, oh, well, I want to get in because it's still got a ways to go. Here's the thing. See how we got 2.42 right now? Meaning you're gaining what you're risking 1 of, you could gain 2.4 of in this trade in your risk to reward ratio. If we were to move this, now you're looking at losing 4.5% to gain 5.95. So 1.3. We just went from 2.4 to only 1.3 because we're getting in later. And you can then ladder up your stop loss, but the probability of you getting stopped out is much greater now, right? So it's you don't want to go chasing. Does that make sense of why you don't want to go chasing calls late? If anything, if let's say price was up to this point, right? What you'd want to do is maybe look for that higher low. Like, do we come down and make a higher low back in the range or right on top of it? If it were to come down right there, back onto range, you could look at maybe making the trade, maybe looking at getting in, because now you have the same probability, and that would actually fill out what is called a inverted head and shoulder pattern. Not that we need to really get into that, but that would be an inverted head and shoulder pattern. Then you may want to look at getting in on the low, but you don't want to get in on what could be a high or once it's left the range, right? You want to get in on that low, that higher low, looking for the higher high. Because what if you don't get the higher low and it takes a shit? Well, now you've lost way more because you got in late versus getting in the entry zone when you were supposed to. Does this make sense? So don't go chasing. Don't FOMO. And if you are going to get in, make sure you are getting, if you're going long, make sure you're getting in on a support somewhere. You know, if you're going to go in, make sure you're getting in on a support. You don't want to be getting in, say, on a resistance. So let's say price pumps to here. You don't want to try to get in here. That's resistance. It could totally shit the fucking bed from here. Or maybe you find we get support. If we do, that's when you'd want to look to get in. You don't want to look to get in at what's potential resistance. You want to wait till we make another low and it be a higher low, because then what are you looking at? Potentially a higher high, which is what I see happening from this, honestly. I see us going up, testing this, especially on the 1 hour chart, because that would probably put the blue line, something like that, coming down. Well, damn blue, motherfucker. And then probably see the white start to react. Something like, potentially like that. We'll leave this just because we'll see what happens. I think we're actually going to work this zone potentially a little longer. I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe see a little resistance right here and we form a higher low here. Maybe stay in that zone and work it a little bit. But yeah, I think we're going to, this looks like a very valid Thor call. But this is why you don't go chasing. You wreck your risk to reward ratio. Even here, it looks like, oh, well, you're not getting in that late. 1.3 versus 2.4, 2.5. Big difference right there. That's the difference between having a coin toss with two sides or heads and one tails, and a
Someone
coin
say
toss
head.
with just one tails. Somebody have a question?
I said, did somebody say head?
Two heads. Two
Yo,
heads.
I gotta pop out of here, but I just want to say what's up, my boy Mode. I appreciate you for doing this shit, dude. I've been quietly listening.
Pretty good. Good seeing you, dude. Thank you.
Of course, homie. Keep killing it.
Yeah, man. Let's catch up. It's been too long.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right,
Peace.
peace, bro. Yeah, anybody got any questions on this Matic trade or anything else? You can see where I took that simple, oh, here's an entry and here's a take profit, and turned it into this fucking mess. You don't need to know how to do that. You don't need to know how to do all this. You can just know, okay, look, Thor called entry here and a take profit here. You make your entry, you set your stop loss. I don't remember exactly where it was. I think it was right there at 3:35, something like that. And there you go. That's all you need to do. You're managing your risk, looking for a greater reward, and Thor calls help you find yourself on the right side of probability. That's all you really need to know, is how to look at the take profit, the entry zone, where to take profit, where to close your trade at, and how to manage your risk, where to set your stop loss. Or if you're spot buying, suppose you really believe in Matic. If you really believe in Matic, Matic was up to $1.58. Do you really care if you buy Matic at 51 cents, 52 cents, and it drops down to 50 cents? I don't think you do. But if you are trying to make the most out of a trading account, you don't want to see it potentially drop back down here to 49 or lower. You know, you might want to just wait for your next Thor entry. But again, this is why we encourage spot trading and trading assets that you're bullish on. Because, sure, this could dip down. It could fuck around and do whatever for a while, come down. But if you believe in Matic, 51 cents is pretty good when it could go to $1.58 again, right? So, what's your time frame? Like, the same with Solana, right? Do you care if you're buying Solana at 22.25, or if you're buying it at $20.60? If you believe it's going back to $265? Not really. Do you care if you're buying it now with hopes of it going up, or whether you can buy it 8% cheaper with hopes of it going up for your short-term trading? You damn right you do. It's all in perspective and time and your plan and trading that plan and managing your risk according to that. What time we got? Almost 9 o'clock. Anybody got further questions?
Yeah, I have one more question. When you were showing us how to set up trades on Drift or whatever platform, the platform's not important. Let's say we set a trade and set the stop loss and the take profit. As someone who's never traded before, let's say I set one up and it doesn't hit the range that I've set, like the parameters I've set. What happens then? Does it just kind of sit there until it does, or
Yes.
like what happens?
So let's just say, theoretically, since we have this set up here, you set your stop loss here, right? So you have your stop loss set at that price, and you have your take profit set at that price, right? So as long as price moves in here, no matter what it does, the trade's still active, right? Still active until it either hits the take profit or until it hits the stop loss.
Gotcha. And
So
like for
it could take it could take maybe a week, or it could take a couple hours. But yeah, go ahead. You had something else?
Yeah, I think I understand. I was gonna ask, like, let's say, for example, something happens in the market and for some reason it doesn't hit it for a long time. You can't cancel a trade, right? Like, you just have to wait for it to fulfill.
Oh no, of course you can. If let's say we hit here, this is actually a perfect drawing for just the way it is. As random as it fucking is, let's just say that becomes a resistance, right? Let's say we get to this point. We didn't quite get to your take profit, right? See, we didn't quite get to take profit, but now we're seeing a lower high. That's not good. Close your trade. Go ahead and close it. And you will close it at 5.27%. Does that make sense? So yeah, you can close your trade at any time. Another thing you can do is, I guess I shouldn't. I'm not sure on Drift if you can ladder up your stop loss. I would think you can. So, like, let's say you're getting up to this point, you're getting pretty close. Move your stop loss up to 0. So if it comes back down, at least you're getting out at break even. You're not losing anything. Sure, you didn't gain, but you didn't lose, and that's a win, because Thor is right 82% of the time last month. So if you broke even in one of those 18% that were the wrong way, you are still ready to fire with full ammo to catch another one that is potentially in that 82% fill range. So a break even is not a loss in any means. But yes, you can close a trade when you'd like. But remember, plan your trade, trade your plan. Because you don't want to get here, right? You don't want to get to just that spot and say, oh, well, it's starting to go down. I'm just going to close it for profit. Because it could very well just continue up, right? That's why you manage your risk. Let Thor make the call, manage your risk, and it'll help you find on the right side of probability and be a profitable trader. Did that help?
Yeah, it did. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anyone else on this Trader Tuesday got questions for Mode? Look at that. We're already printing a green candle after that right there. 2 wicks to the bottom. Like I said, we often open up positive out of that, and you already are. Yeah, I think we'll probably do something like this. Bam, bam. Up to here, test the EMAs. Come down here, test this, and then bam, there we are in the take profit and testing the downtrend. I'm gonna leave that because I think that's how it's gonna play out. So I think it might do a little more. Something like that. And that would be our take profit, right on resistance. Perfect play. Actually, I could see this shooting up pretty fucking fast right now because of how far we are from the EMA. It's going to want to get back up to it. Probably going to have a pretty good pump. Anybody else? Questions? I'll go back to Sol real quick. This was just thematic call that is about to leave the zone at any moment if you wanted to take this call. It's literally about to leave it if you wanted to. Give me 1 second here. We will pull Sol back up and review this fucking Picasso disaster of a chart now. And you can see we are getting a green candle in Sol right now too. Which was like I was calling. I think we're going to pump up and fill this range, test the EMA. We're going to come back to the EMA. And then we'll find out if we hold the support on the blue or if we drop down. But I really think we're going to fill this zone again. I'm going to leave the chart pretty much like that.
And what says Thor? What calls do we have for Sol?
So right now there is this 1 hour. It's a very narrow zone. Between was it? I'll zoom in a little. 23.43 and 23.40. Calling for a short. Take profit around 22.75. You can look at Thor for the exact numbers. And again, we don't really record the 1 hours on the Trader Tuesday just because they're volatile. But the main one we're looking at is here. There's this daily call from basically 25.50 and just 24.95 to 25.50 with a take profit of 22.57. That is a nice call that gives anywhere from about 11 to 9 to 11% on that one. That's the call we're really looking at, and ultimately I think Thor is going to make a long call down here. These zones right here are just zones that I drew in. These aren't Thor calls. Should probably make them a different color so they don't look like the Thor calls.
Hey, Mode, I got a quick question. Real quick, I am new to the Frogs team, and I've traded a little bit in the past, but I just wanted to ask you a quick question. So I just started using the manual Thor bot trader, and I also use TradingView, and in order to, because I'm like really busy throughout the week, in order to, I guess, like capitalize on those calls, I set an alert on TradingView. Do you guys do something similar to that, like when you guys are out and about?
Absolutely. So, and TradingView, you can generally set up to 3 alerts on the free version unless they've changed it. So one thing I'll even do too is say like this downtrend line, right? I can go up here, add alert, and now it's going to alert me 4-hour crossing downtrend. So I'll get an alert that says, hey, we broke your downtrend. And now I'll know, okay, this is something I want to look at. Same with price. Like if we look at Matic, right? I could say, draw a line right here and say, let me know when we get to this price so I know we're about to hit my take profit zone, right? I could set an alert and say, let me know 4-hour, actually this was a 1 hour, so I could change that to 1 hour TP. 1 hour long TP. There we go. Bam. Now I'll get an alert to let me know, hey, we're getting ready to hit my take profit zone. So I can either look to use those profits for another trade, I can assess the market, whatever. And I believe you can set up to 3 alerts for the free version of TradingView.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mo.
For sure. Yeah, this chart like has become something, hasn't it? The green arrows, just for reference, looking at the chart, these bright green arrows are all calls that were made on Trader Tuesday stream. So this was a 4-hour Thor that we talked about that hit on stream, or we made this call so you could have been aware it was going to trigger, just like this daily short or just like this one set up. So that 4-hour, this 1 hour, this is one that we called based on our own TA of looking at the downtrend of the market, the way the EMAs were, the way we were finding resistance on the RSI. We said, hey, we just took a real spike up. Let's look for a downtrend. So we made this call. We also made our call of entry here on the higher low and rode that up to about 12 or even 33%, which was the reason that we called the short here from my own TA was this support and resistance. But then there was a 4-hour Thor short call right here, and it became invalidated, I think, because it triggered, got so close to take profit, and then it pumped all the way back up. Thor said, well, shit, maybe we were off by a little bit. Invalidated it. I actually went in here on the lower high, and that call did fulfill. And all this, you can go back on the Trader Tuesday review and look at the updates You know, I'm not just talking out my ass and say, "Oh yeah, we said this, we said that." Like, you can go back and look what we talked about when we talked about it, um, and see why. You know, the reasoning we take certain calls from Thor, and then ultimately how we think our own TA is going to play out. I'm just trying to help people learn how to use Thor to be profitable, but also how to do your own TA, how to look at charts, and just become a little more knowledgeable for those that want to do so. And you can see Solana is moving. Let's zoom in to 15-minute. So this is a little, closer range, but you can see how we're really filling out this zone. Tapping the low, tapping the high, low, high, making some fake out moves, but ultimately, this is just noise. This isn't a direction. This is just fucking noise. It's just refilling that zone of where it blasted through here so fast, right? Market makers, basically lost money here to push it out the zone, so then they could get everybody to FOMO in here, make money off of that, and now they're going back to recapture where they lost money. And they're most likely going to do the same thing down here if they lost money down here. Sometimes it's basically like saying, it's basically like me starting to sell all my cyber frogs for 4 Sol. I'm going to start selling all my frogs at 4 Sol, so everybody else starts to sell theirs at 2 Sol. And then I'm going to buy everybody's at 2 Sol, sell them all back at 6 Sol. You know what I mean? Did I lose money by selling them at 4 Sol? Not when I'm buying everyone else's at 2 Sol to sell it back. It's the same way of, well, what if I start buying everything low? I start buying all the frogs at 8 Sol, so everybody starts buying them at 12, and then wait till it drops back down in the range. Their market makers know how to do the shit. It's time and levels. Time and levels is how the market moves. Thor calls the moves. We just try to be prepared and always use proper risk management. Any other questions before I close out this? Because I do got some shit I got to do. No? Go once, going twice. Cool. Well, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Glad to have you back, dude. And I hope it was fun, whatever you were doing for the past week. But appreciate everybody that joins in. Seriously, I enjoy doing this. I enjoy trying to extend some of the knowledge I have. I enjoy spending time with the Frogs community, and truly want us all to make it. Everybody always says we all gonna make it. Well, fucking Thor makes that a reality for Frogs, right? And if what I know, what I have learned, can help anybody in some way, that's all I'm here to try to do. This is not financial advice. This is to help you do your own research. That's what this is for. This is to help you do your own research on Thor, on our calls, on whatever else you may come across the market. This is to help you do your own research. As always, frogs fuck, trade well, manage your risk properly, let Thor help you be on the right side of probability, and you can be a profitable trader. following the rules, it's easy to make money. So let's fucking do it.
Thank you, Mo.
You are
Thanks,
more
Mo.
than welcome. Appreciate all you. Glad everybody joined. And yeah, I'll get these write-ups done soon.
Hey, thanks for your
Thank
time,
you.
Mo.
For sure, for sure.
Thank you, Maud.
Thanks, Mo.
Peace, y'all.
Bye.